What did you think about Boots being in camp with Canelo?
My game is not like Canelo.
I think it's a good thing because Canelo will have taught him how to lose.
Bro, he said he only taught him how to lose. That was so disrespectful.
Here you go. Oh, shit. Yeah, I'm tired of that. It was so disrespectful.
Hello guys, this is Rolly Romero.
Yo, my name is Nonito Donaire. What's up guys, Designer's Eyes.
Here with Bob Santos Boxing.
And I rock with Dr. Boxing Talk.
I want to give a quick shout out to Dr. Boxing Talk.
And I want to give a big shout out to Dr. Boxing Talk. Thank you for all the love, thank you for all the support.
You're rocking with Dr. Boxing Talk. Get your daily news from my man right here, the best in the business. Let's get it, baby.
All day, baby.
Amen.
Bam!
If I tell you I'm good, probably you'll say I'm boasting. But if I tell you I'm no good, you know one line.
Yo, what's good, Boxing Talk family? Welcome back to your favorite boxing news channel, Dr. Boxing Talk. We are back for another YouTube video. Banger, man. Yes, sir. Yes, man. I don't know what time it is. Doctor's in the house, man. So check this out. You know we here for the Uisma Lima and Jaron Boots Ennis fight that is imminent, right? It's this weekend, October 11th, man. And not only is it going to be Jaron Boots Ennis, the former unified WBA IBF Ring Magazine champion at the welterweight division, 147, he's going to be fighting the IBO champion, Uisma Lima, right? Who's relatively unheard of. You know, he has a pretty good record, only has one loss, and that was to Aaron McKenna, you know, and that was by decision. So he's not a poo-putt. But if that doesn't add intrigue, you know, a guy making his debut, a guy has decorated his boots, well, now the fight is also for the WBA interim belt at 154 junior middleweight, you know, and so that means that the winner will be lined up to fight the full champion, who is Abbas Barao, you know, the German fighter out of Togo, you know what I'm saying? So he was just elevated because Terrence Crawford, you know, famously fought Saul Canelo Alvarez, and when he beat Cinnamon, you know, he vacated his 154 WBA title that he won from Israel Madrimov. So, you know, this just adds stakes to, add some more stakes to this fight, makes it more intriguing to me. But you know, people are gonna talk trash. You know how that goes, man. People gonna talk trash. Nobody's happy. They think this debut is weak. They think he's cherry picking. I don't think it's really too bad of a fight, you know what I'm saying? I understand Uisma Lima is relatively unknown, but like I said, he only has one defeat, and he's the IBO champion. And I know a lot of people don't care about the IBO, but we care about it when we call Manny Pacquiao an 8th division champion, right? One of those titles was an IBO. You know what I'm saying? Dmitry Bivol, when he walked into the fight with Beterbiev, he was holding 2 belts, right? One of them was the IBO, you know, for their first fight, you see what I'm saying? So people do respect the IBO at least a little bit, you know, but most importantly in this video, I want to talk about the intro where the coach was like, hey, you know, hey, Boots was training with Cinnamon. That's not gonna mean nothing. All he did was just teach Boots how to lose. I thought that was funny, you know what I'm saying? But more so, you know, I love to see the confidence of the relatively unknown Uisma Lima. You know, he travels a lot, man. He's always the underdog. He's always a visitor, goes to people's backyard and he upsets them, you know what I'm saying? So he'll be aiming to do the same thing against Jaron Boots Ennis. Do I think he'll be successful at it? Nah, I think Boots is gonna win, but I don't think he should be overlooked. I don't think Uisma Lima should be overlooked. I have Boots by unanimous decision, UD convincingly, but you never know what could happen, man. This is boxing, that's why we watch it, you know? But like I said, I wanna take away from this is the fact that I wouldn't be mad if Uisma Lima wins.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
You know what I'm saying? I am American, Boots is American, but what I'm saying is that I love to see the behind the scenes. You know, it humanizes the fighters. You see what I'm saying? It humanizes the fighters. It makes you kind of relate to them a little bit more, you know? So those of you that are just now getting into boxing, I kind of, you know, sympathize, have some sympathy for you, you know, because it's like, man, you didn't really get to see the boxing 24/7, you know, where they go in the background behind training camp, what goes on with these fighters. You can relate to them and see little angles and different viewpoints that you didn't really know of, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it humanizes the fighters. It gives you another perspective, another insight to their camps, you know what I'm saying? So I am going for Boots, don't get it twisted. I like Boots, but I like Uisma Lima too. You know, all the research I've done on him since the fight was announced was me going and looking at doing my own research, and, you know, putting forth my due diligence like I typically do. But when you get to see like Matchroom doing their little version of the 24/7, you get to see behind the scenes, then it makes you kind of root for both fighters, you know what I'm saying? Even if your preference is with one, you see what I'm saying? So that's why it's so easy for me to be unbiased, if you will, and be objective when I talk about these fights, because I like to see all these fighters in different aspects of them, you see what I'm saying? So how could you not root for Uisma Lima after watching that one little episode? It's like he has his country on his back. He has a lot of people that are sponsoring him. His name is the Monster, you know. So we have Monster in a way, a Mexican Monster Benavidez, and now we have Monster Lima. You see what I'm saying? So which I already knew, but you know, it just kind of shows you. So I think it's a good look, man. Do I think that Canelo taught Boots how to lose? Nah, but I love the confidence that Lima has, because Lima's like, hey, I don't fight like Canelo. He said I idolize Canelo. Canelo's a beast. You know, Canelo's one of my favorite fighters. You know, Cinnamon. So I rock with Cinnamon heavy. Terrence Bud Crawford is just a better man. That's all that proves to me. It doesn't mean that Cinnamon was a fraud or he's not as good as I thought he was. It's just that Bud is just a beast. You see what I'm saying? And that's what Lima kind of echoed as well. He's like, yeah, he likes Crawford too, but he grew up on Cinnamon essentially. So shout out to Cinnamon and shout out to Bud, bro. Bud's just a beast. But I thought that was funny that the coach was like, hey, man, Bud showed us that there's levels. And so maybe Lima's going to try to show Boots at his levels. But just seeing Lima's fights previously, I saw about 4 or 5 of his fights now. Yeah, I say about 3 or 4 of his fights now. I think that from what I've seen, I don't want to say he's one-dimensional, but he's kind of limited, you know what I'm saying, as far as what he showed us so far. That doesn't mean that he hasn't changed or adapted since this training camp or implemented some new things into his style that he plans on executing in the fight on October 11th. But, you know, I definitely think that the skill and the versatility is in Boots' favor. Athleticism is in Boots' favor. IQ, I would say, you know, especially with Bowlesy being in the corner, you know, I think that's definitely Boots' favor. But, you know, hey, man, sometimes that's why boxing is so awesome, because sometimes it doesn't matter who's the smartest, doesn't matter who's the fastest, doesn't matter who's the strongest. Sometimes it matters who has the most heart. You see what I'm saying? Abbas Barao showed us that against Jonas Tellis. You know, I don't think anybody would argue or debate with who was more skilled. You know what I'm saying? As far as technique and stuff goes, I think Tellis is more skilled than Abbas Barao. But Abbas Barao showed us a whole nother gear. You know what I'm saying? And showed us that, hey, man, I got this motor. You not rocking with it, man. I got that X factor, bro. I'm not going. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going. And he took the WBA interim title from Tellis, and now we're at where we're at today. He's a full WBA champion. So shout out to the Togolese fighter out of Germany. You know what I'm saying? So big ups to Abbas Barao, and the winner of this fight. You know, once they acquire the interim belt, whether it's Jaron Boots Ennis or Uisma Lima, they will more than likely go on to fight Abbas Barao for the full title, assuming that the WBA and President Gilberto Mendoza doesn't do anything funny, you know, because they like to play with the funny business, you know. Yeah, they do something strange for a little piece of change. We like to blame the fighters, but it's really the administrative bodies, like the sanctioning bodies in particular, sometimes the promotional companies, sometimes the broadcast fighters have certain broadcast deals that won't allow them to fight on different platforms, so that stops fights as well. But we always blame the fighters. We don't look at the technical stuff, because a lot of these people that masquerade as boxing enthusiasts and pugilist enthusiasts and pundits and aficionados, they don't know nothing about boxing. You see what I'm saying? They just be a bunch of overzealous, super infatuated, goofy groupies of a fighter, so they think that everything that fighter does is right and everything a fighter they don't like is wrong. My bad, this trash is here, you know, they're picking up the trash on the curb. So sorry for the noise, but yeah, hopefully you can still hear me. But yeah, man, so let's wait till they go. I don't know how clear you can hear me. Yes, that's the trash man right there picking up the trash, you know. Shout out to him.
Know your fucking place, trash.
Keeping the neighborhoods clean, you feel me? I appreciate it. But yeah, so a lot of times these things stop the fights, and sometimes the sanctioned bodies don't do what they're supposed to do. And when it comes to making sure that these fighters get their opportunities that they deserve, whether it's through the rankings or whatever it is, you see what I'm saying? And the WBA's been looking shaky lately as far as stripping fighters at the appropriate time or making them adhere to their championship duties or obligations, you know what I'm saying? So that's who we should blame. We should blame when something doesn't go right as far as the protocol of boxing, like when an interim title holder doesn't get a shot at the full title holder, or the mandatory doesn't get a shot at the full title holder. We instead of blaming the fighters all the time, sometimes it is the fighters, but a lot of times we should blame the appropriate entity, and that would be the sanctioning bodies a lot of time, because they're the ones that set up the rules and therefore they enforce the rules. So if they don't strip somebody for not fighting their mandatory, it's not the champion's fault that they don't get stripped. What, should they just vacate the belt willingly or voluntarily? No, it's the sanctioning bodies that set up the rules, and they're supposed to enforce them and make sure that the fighters adhere to them, right? Because they set up the rules, you feel me? So yeah, man, I appreciate y'all rocking. I'm going off on a little tangent now, but you get what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is, if the winner of Boots and Lima doesn't get a title shot at the early part of 2026, good Lord willing, or sometime throughout the year, then it's not because Boots or Lima is ducking Abbas Barao, or Abbas Barao, who's a full WBA champion, doesn't want to fight them. And no, it's that the WBA and President Gilberto Mendoza is allowing their champions to not fulfill their championship obligations. Think of the other fighters that are WBA champions right now that are allowed to do other things. Gervonta Tank Davis against Jake Paul. It's not Tank's fault that he gets to keep the belt. You know what I'm saying? I'll give you another one. Naoya Inoue versus MJ Madaliev. Yeah, he finally fought him, but it wasn't just Naoya Inoue's fault that he was allowed to wait 2 years to fight MJ Madaliev. You see what I'm saying? I could give you another WBA title holder example as well, but that'd be all day. So I appreciate y'all rocking with me as always. Don't forget to smack that like button, but most importantly, remember with God, we can do anything. Without God, we're nothing. The doctor's out. Peace.
From the hood to college, both worlds they had to meet. 6 degrees between us, so cold, we're about to freeze. But we're Florida boys, hot takes, we bring the heat. We're moving the culture, the engineers to the streets.